웃기다.
The story kicks off with Bang Ui Gang, a guy who used to be a top-tier hitman but finally hung it up to live a quiet life. These days, he's just chilling with his wife, Hyun-soo, living off the massive pile of cash he stacked up during his time in the business. He's retired, he's relaxed, and he's done with all that noise from his old career.
얼마나 걸린다는데?
3주?
One morning, Hyun-soo tells Ui Gang she's heading down to Jeju Island for a little vacation with her best friend. But before she hits the road, she hits him with a favor. She needs him to look after a 17-year-old girl named Kim Yunji while they're gone. Yunji is the stepdaughter of the friend she's traveling with. Now, Ui Gang isn't exactly thrilled about playing babysitter to some teenager he doesn't even know. He figures at 17, the kid ought to be able to handle herself, and he'd rather just stay in his lane. But his wife keeps leaning on him until he finally caves and says he'll do it. The next day, Ui Gang drops his wife and her friend off at the airport and goes about his business. That evening, he heads over to Hongdae to pick up Yunji at a coffee shop. On the ride back, the girl asks him if it's cool if she just crashes at a friend's place for a few days instead of coming home with him. Ui Gang tells her it's fine, but he's not a moron, he's a professional. Before he lets her walk away, he hands her some cash and secretly slips a tracking device into her wallet. That way, he knows exactly where she's at without her ever knowing he's watching.
고맙습니다.
He drops Yunji and her friend at a mall and heads home to catch some sleep. But in the middle of the night, his phone starts buzzing with a call from Yunji. She's on the line sounding all panicked, claiming her stomach is killing her and she needs him to come get her right now. Ui Gang hops in the car and rushes over there, losing sleep just to make sure she's okay. When he gets there, he realizes the whole thing was a total setup. She faked the whole sick act just to get him to give her a ride. He sees her hanging out and having a blast, and he's pretty annoyed that he got played.
젠장.
While they're standing there, Yunji gets a text on her phone. She barely looks at him and tells him he can just head home because she's got other plans now. Even though he's frustrated with the attitude, Ui Gang starts to pull away in his car. As he's driving off, he looks in the rear view and sees Yunji hopping on a bike with a bunch of shady-looking characters. He starts feeling that sense of responsibility kicking in, especially after his wife texts him asking how the kid is doing. He decides he's not just gonna let it go, so he pulls a U-turn. He pulls up the tracker he stashed in her wallet and follows the signal to a real dump of a building in a deserted area. Inside, he finds a group of delinquents, led by a punk named Sung Yun, cornering Yunji. There's a woman there named Donna who's trying to force Yunji into meeting some client for a couple $100. It turns out Yunji's own boyfriend was the one who set her up and brought her to this spot to be sold. Donna starts getting aggressive and threatens to hurt the girl if she doesn't play ball. Just as Donna goes to slap her, Ui Gang steps into the light.
뭐야?
The punks think Ui Gang is just some regular guy and try to jump him. But Ui Gang is a pro, and he makes quick work of them, disarming the kids and beating the whole group down in seconds. He even snatches a knife away from one of the attackers during the scuffle. Donna tries to take a swing at him with a blade, but Ui Gang doesn't even break a sweat. He clocks her with one solid punch and she's out cold on the floor. Once the coast is clear, he grabs Yunji and takes her back to his place. The next night, Ui Gang and Yunji are driving home and pass the same spot where the fight went down. They get flagged down at a police checkpoint by a guy named Detective Lee Young-ho. The detective tells them there was a murder at the venue and he's checking everyone coming through. The detective lets them go, but as soon as Ui Gang gets home, he gets on the computer to see what's really going on. He finds out that the guys he slapped around the night before are the ones who turned up dead. This whole thing is starting to smell like trouble, and he knows he's right in the middle of it.
제 하루를 넘기지 못했다.
Things get even heavier the next morning when Detective Lee shows up at Ui Gang's front door. He shows Ui Gang some CCTV footage of his car near the scene and photos of Yunji with the dead kids. Ui Gang keeps his cool, playing it off like it's all a coincidence and giving the cop nothing to work with. While Detective Lee is grilling him, UI Gang notices the guy is a little too good at his job, which makes him think the cop has his own skin in the game. After Lee takes off, Yunji is shaking like a leaf and apologizing for dragging him into this mess. Seeing her that scared brings back a memory for him. He remembers this girl from years ago who was ready to end it all. In the flashback, we see UI Gang was the guy who talked her off the ledge, telling her she's got to let go of the past and just keep moving forward. That memory makes him realize he's not gonna let anything happen to Yunji.
이 아이의 아픔이
A little while later, Donna calls Yunji's phone, but UI Gang picks up instead. Donna tells him she's got the knife he took off those punks, and it's covered in his fingerprints. She says if he doesn't show up at her spot within the hour, she's handing that knife over to the cops and pinning the murders on him. UI Gang says he'll meet her, mostly because he needs that evidence back. Before he heads out, he hands Yunji a bracelet and tells her to keep it on. He doesn't mention that there's a tracker hidden inside, just in case someone comes for her while he's out dealing with Donna. UI Gang pulls up to the building, but instead of Donna, he runs into a guy named Jang. Jang is Donna's cousin, and his whole business is snatching up underage girls and selling them off. Jang doesn't want to talk, he just tells his goons to take UI Gang out.
아가리 닥치라고.
UI Gang cleans house, taking out the guards without breaking a sweat, and demands Donna give him the knife. When she plays tough, he starts working over one of Jang's guys to show her he's not playing games. Jang gets spooked by the brutality and tosses the knife toward him. The second UI Gang reaches for the blade, Jang pulls a piece and starts blasting. Jang takes off running, and UI Gang is right on his tail. He ends up in a room with a Russian heavy named Yuri, a former Spetsnaz guy who actually knows how to fight. The two of them go at it, and Yuri is a real problem, but UI Gang eventually gets the upper hand. He leaves Yuri bleeding on the floor and grabs the knife before racing back to his house. He's got a bad feeling about leaving the girl alone. Sure enough, he gets home and the place is trashed and Yunji is gone. A crew came in and snatched her while he was busy with Jang. UI Gang doesn't panic, he just pulls up the signal from the tracking bracelet he gave her earlier. He grabs his hardware and tracks the signal to a quiet street where he spots Donna trying to make a break for it. He pins her down, and she starts talking trash, saying if he kills her, her friends will kill Yunji and dump her body where nobody will ever find it. UI Gang doesn't kill her, not yet, but he starts making her real uncomfortable until she spills the beans. She admits they're part of a massive trafficking ring and that some big shot client put in a special request for a girl that looked like Yunji. Donna gives him the name of a hotel where they're keeping the girls before they move them out. She claims she doesn't know who the big boss is, but her own boss does. UI Gang leaves her there and hauls tail to the hotel. Later on, Detective Lee shows up at the spot where UI Gang was questioning Donna and finds her dead in a room. Meanwhile, UI Gang is already at the hotel, walking through the front door and putting down every guard who tries to stop him. He's looking for the girl, but she's already been moved.
여자애 어디 있어?
진짜 몰라요. 살려주세요.
Yuri shows up again, still breathing, and tells UI Gang he's too late. He says Yunji is being loaded onto a ship for Russia at 8 a.m. the next morning. Yuri tells him he's never gonna make it because he's gonna end him right here. Yuri makes it clear that Yunji is headed for a boat to Russia and there ain't nothing UI Gang can do about it. He's looking for a rematch, but UI Gang's only focus is getting that girl back, so he tries to bail without getting bogged down in a long fight. Of course, Yuri isn't just gonna let him walk away, so the chase is on. The two of them tear up the building, both being pros who know every trick in the book. They're trading blows and it's a total stalemate until UI Gang sees an opening. He manages to tie Yuri up with some rope and takes a dive out the window to get clear. UI Gang lands hard right on the roof of a car, and wouldn't you know it, Detective Lee is sitting right there. The cop pulls his gun and tells UI Gang he's under arrest, but UI Gang is way faster. Before Lee can blink, UI Gang disarms him and takes him hostage. He forces Detective Lee into the driver's seat and makes him floor it toward the cargo port. He's betting that's where they're holding Yunji before they ship her off. They pull up to the docks and he spots a car with Yunji sitting inside. UI Gang doesn't wait around. He goes in hot, taking out every gangster standing between him and that car. He clears the area, kills the kidnappers, and gets Yunji out of there safe and sound. But then Jang shows up again, looking for one last shot at them. UI Gang beats the living daylights out of Jang, demanding to know who the high roller is that ordered the hit on the girl. Jang keeps his mouth shut, so UI Gang just puts a bullet in him and moves on. Detective Lee is watching the whole thing, absolutely terrified of what this guy is capable of. While he's checking Jang's pockets, UI Gang finds a cell phone and sees the last person Jang called was none other than Detective Lee. He shows Lee the phone, calling him out for being a dirty cop in bed with the traffickers. He tells Lee he's gonna send that phone data to every news outlet in the city unless he starts talking. Lee realizes his career is over if he doesn't play ball, so he folds. When the other cops show up, Lee tells them the whole mess was a sting operation he was running and sends UI Gang and Yunji to the hospital to get checked out. At the hospital, Yunji wakes up and starts crying, feeling guilty for the whole mess. UI Gang tells her to knock it off and that none of this is her fault. Later, Detective Lee pulls UI Gang aside and tells him he's managed to sweep all those bodies under the rug for now. UI Gang just stares him down and tells him he already knew Lee was a rat because he saw Donna's body stashed in the trunk of the detective's car earlier.
단순히 쓰레기를 불태우는 데가 아니야. 증거인멸.
UI Gang tells Lee he needs the location of the Russian mafia guys who are running the show. Lee is shaking in his boots because those guys are dangerous, but he doesn't have a choice since UI Gang is holding all the cards. The next day, Lee hands over the address of a hotel where a guy named Park is holed up. Park is a major player in the crew that snatches these girls for the overseas market. When Park hears a cop might be sniffing around, he starts packing his bags to make a run for it. But he's not fast enough. UI Gang is already in the building, and he's starting to clear the floor. UI Gang rolls into the hotel and starts putting down Park's security like he's taking out the trash. He works his way through the place, dropping every guy in his way until he's got Park cornered. He doesn't just kill him, he beats the information out of him, demanding the name of the guy who wanted Yunji. Park is hurting bad, so he picks up the phone and calls a woman they call Pig Mama. From that call, UI Gang finds out the guy behind the whole thing is a big shot judge named Kim. Park explains the whole disgusting operation. They snatch the girls, the judge takes his pick, and then they sell the rest off to Russia or Asia for a massive payday.
지금은 이제 파사 새끼 보디가드도
한국 애들 데려다가 러시아에서.
Once he's got the names, UI Gang finishes Park off. He places a call to his professional cleanup crew, and they show up in record time to scrub the room and make all those bodies disappear. These are the guys the mob uses when they need a crime scene to look like it never happened. After the hotel is sparkling clean, UI Gang goes to see an old buddy in the weapons business. He picks up a high-powered sniper rifle because he knows the next stop is gonna require some serious long-range hardware. He's gearing up for the final hit. Detective Lee calls him with the final pieces of the puzzle. He tells him Judge Kim isn't just any judge, he's the president of the Central District and he's connected to every heavy-hitter politician in the country. Lee is terrified to touch the guy, but UI Gang couldn't care less about the judge's title. Lee also mentions some family history. Yunji's real dad died in a wreck, and the woman she's living with is just her stepmother. Armed with the judge's home address, UI Gang heads to the mansion where the guy is busy partying. Inside the mansion, Judge Kim is surrounded by women sent over by Pig Mama. UI Gang sets up and starts the party early, using that sniper rifle to pick off the outside guards one by one. Then he moves in closer, walking through the house and dropping anyone with a gun as he makes his way to the top floor. Yuri, the Russian hitter, is there waiting for him, and the lead starts flying. It's a total war zone inside the mansion. Detective Lee is there too, acting like he's on UI Gang's side, but the second he sees an opening, he flips and puts his gun to UI Gang's head. With Lee's help, Yuri manages to capture UI Gang and drags him in front of Judge Kim. The judge is totally calm, just smirking when UI Gang asks him if he's the one who wanted the girl. He doesn't even deny it.
김정훈입니다.
왜?
Judge Kim tells Detective Lee to take UI Gang out back and put a bullet in him. Lee leads him away, but that was exactly what UI Gang wanted. He turns the tables in a heartbeat, taking out the remaining guards and telling Lee that he only got caught so he could get inside the house. UI gang kills Detective Lee once and for all, then heads back in to settle things with Yuri. They have one last knockdown, drag-out fight, but UI gang is just too much for the Russian. He leaves Yuri dead on the floor and goes looking for the judge. After he's done with Yuri, UI gang walks into the room where Judge Kim is shaking in his boots. The judge sees the writing on the wall and tries to buy his way out, offering UI gang a boatload of cash and a job working for him. He thinks everyone has a price. UI gang doesn't want the money, he just wants to know about Pig Mama. The judge admits that Pig Mama is his main partner in the whole trafficking business. That's when UI gang puts the pieces together and figures out who she really is. It turns out Pig Mama is the woman Yunji calls her stepmother, the same woman who's currently in Jeju with UI gang's wife, Hyun-soo. She was planning on selling her own kid to the judge just to make a quick buck. With all the talking done, UI gang kills Judge Kim. He makes one last call to the cleanup crew to come scrub the mansion and get rid of the evidence. Then he hauls tail to Jeju Island to find his wife and the stepmother. He tracks down the stepmother on the outskirts of the island. He confronts her about the trafficking and the fact that she was ready to sell out Yunji. He doesn't let her walk away. He kills her right then and there so she can't ever hurt the kid again. After taking care of business, he heads down to a beach in Jeju where Hyun-soo is waiting. He shows up with Yunji, who is finally safe and sound, and the girl is reunited with the only people who actually care about her. As they're standing there, the last secret comes out. That girl from the flashback, the one UI gang saved from the edge all those years ago, that was actually Hyun-soo. That's why he walked away from the Hitman life and why he'd do anything to keep her safe. The movie wraps up with them standing on the beach, the whole criminal ring burned to the ground and everyone left standing finally at peace.